So I wanted to discuss a little bit about Dr. Harlan Lane's Mask of Benevolence book, and how to control oppression, and what he discusses. I want to talk about chapter 4. It's about the deaf community, and I want to talk about that because it talks about how people become easily depressed, and it's been happening for a long time. And it really impacts deaf people and their experiences, especially in Italy, in the conference. They also talk about oralism and how that's changed, and the negative views on that. I thought that talking about that would be very important, especially that from the history to now, and what we've decided and our future as well. And if you don't study history, then we'll just go over it. So in many countries, they're more open to different languages, and they have strong trust, and oftentimes with minority groups, they're very oppressed, as where majority groups like cultures and everything are try to push that on you. It's an interesting experience. The majority group generally tries to ruin the minority group, and that happens constantly, especially with the Indians. But Harlan Lane gives examples of hearing cultures and the experience of language and disempowerment, and also the punishment that happens. So Cesar Chavez was the Hispanic leader. If you would speak Spanish in school, Cesar Chavez, they used to always beat them with rulers on their hands, or they would smack them, or they would use a paddle on the butt. But a long time ago, they used to do that. They don't really do that now. But they used to do the same thing with deaf kids in a hearing school. So we just thought that was a good comparison. Another thing is all this oppression really hurt everyone, and it was very negative towards minority groups. So one famous man that supported the swim or sink or swim approach, he went to Gallaudet, and he had an article at Gallaudet, and it was very important. And here's the website for it. And it's also in ASL, so you could watch him sign it. Here it is for English or other languages. Francis Gossing. I wanted to explain a little bit about what happened with the punishment and the negativity in children when they would use their native language. There's a few things. So one, they couldn't use their first language. It's a sink or swim method that they used to teach. You learn or you fail. There's no communication, there's no working with them. Nope, you either learn it or you don't. In Harlan Lane's book, there was a teacher that would write on the board, and then they would take turns speaking what was written on the board. and one of the kids couldn't understand how to say something. Or even if he did know how to say something, he didn't know what it would mean. So he didn't understand why she would make him say it. If they're skilled at speaking, that's great, but then they usually don't know what it means. So they tried using the sink or swim method on children, but some would fail and some would be skilled. Not everyone is going to be perfect or very skilled. And some people are very insecure. They're not sure. They're just guessing over and over and over. And then a lot of them have negative attitudes about culture and language. And fourth, they've got a negative attitude about minority groups as well. They look down upon minority groups. And they take that in and take it personally. So if minority groups are trained in their natural language, they would be better in school. So this sink or swim method did not work. It's for majority groups, not for minority groups. It makes it more difficult to teach. But when minority groups are taught in their own culture, they themselves, as a minority group, will develop. It's a good way to teach. The sink or swim method is not a good way to teach. Now I want to talk about culture. And it's not generally taught, the minority culture is not always the same as the majority culture. And we think that the minority culture is always trying to become that majority culture. And they're always trying to catch up, but because there's two cultures, not everyone's accepted into both. The majority culture always tries to push away the minority group. And education can't advocate for the minority group either. So most majority cultures try to control the minority, and especially in education. And they do it through language. So this quote was in a very important way to teach English, in different words, different schools, and how to speak, and oralism, and all these different things for English. And it was such a struggle and so frustrating. But they explained that it didn't just happen. In the past, they found a deaf man in France that would write and explain and teach gestures. So I finally understood that concept. It has a name, and it's just a very strong written book. It was written in 1779, and it's about deaf rights. His name is Pierre Deslong.